Good evening, everybody, wherever you are. A good afternoon, good morning, a good day. Welcome to World Speech Day, Malaysia 2021. This is the first time ever that we held a World Speech Day totally online. So we do not need to put on our mask, no social distancing needed, as we are so far apart. The speakers tonight came from all over Malaysia. You will get to know them one by one afterward. So stay tuned and thank you for your support. Now, why World Speech Day? World Speech Day has started in 2016 from about 20 over countries, including Malaysia. And it originated in Tawau, Sabah, if you wish to know. The first World Speech Day was held on the 15th March 2016. I had only about 2 weeks, 14 days to make the preparation. As soon I accepted the challenge to organize the first ever World Speech Day in Malaysia. And then it continued with 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. That was last year. We were among the very, very few countries in the world which was able to hold the World Speech Day on the 15th March 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The movement control order started on the 18th March. We had our event on the 15th, but we follow full standard operating procedure as recommended by the Ministry of Health. Everything went well, everything went smoothly, everyone was fine after 2 weeks, even until now, so do not worry. However, for this year, we have to do it online. What you are seeing on Facebook now is actually a live stream from Zoom that I am having with all the speakers. This is the advancement of technology. Without the technology, we will not be able to do so many things. But the thing is, we must always embrace technology and science. That's how we are fighting the COVID-19 or coronavirus. That's why the vaccine can come out in such a short time because of science and technology. Back to World Speech Day. World Speech Day, ever since it started, has been recognized and celebrated on every 15th of March every year. This is the 6th year that Malaysia is organizing. By the way, my name is Lee Chai Yu. I am the first ever organizer of World Speech Day in Malaysia, and in recognition of that, I was appointed the National Ambassador for World Speech Day Malaysia. It sounds big, the title, but actually it comes with big responsibility that I have to ensure that the World Speech Day will continue to run every year. So far, I'm doing well with the support of everybody, organizers, and also speakers. Now, World Speech Day is a day where we celebrate the crafting and delivery of speeches. Speeches has been recognized as a very important tool in communication, in convincing people. Many ideas, many big events, many landscape change because of speeches that convince, that help to change mind, help to contribute to the changes of decision. So changes can come from good speeches. We have heard a single speech from a single person could bring in thousands and thousands of people to take action. This is the importance of making speeches. However, making speeches in the past, it is not easy. We need to be somebody that people think is a leader. Then only he or she can speak. But with World Speech Day, we offer a platform for everybody. Any individual who has an idea, who has something to say, something to share, something to express, you are welcome to the platform of World Speech Day. So tonight, the speakers will be here to share their views, their stories, their experiences, that we will listen to them one after another. Speech, yes, there are good speeches, there are bad speeches. But good speeches will always touch the heart. Even a good word will heal the pain. So don't take a speech lightly. Take it seriously and do good with our speeches. I'm sure with good speeches, with good words, good intention, say it in a nice way, in a proper way, we will have better communication, we will have better understanding, we will have a better society, a better nation, and a better world. That was the theme when the World Speech Day first started in 2016, for a better world. Now, why do we have to speak on our own? Don't we have representatives, they are elected and non-elected representatives who say they are representing us? The problem is, sometimes representatives do not represent us. They do not speak our concern. They do not speak our content. They do not express our feeling. They do not speak our language. Or they do not deliver the speech in the correct way, correct manner, that people would understand, would accept, and would take action. So the best thing, the best way is for us, we ourselves, ordinary people, to stand up, speak, be heard, and be counted. But some of you might say, I don't know how to speak. I do not know how to use that language. I have fear in public speaking. Well, those are all the excuses that we want to avoid from speaking. It is our concern, it's our well-being, it's our rights. Why don't we do that? So instead of giving excuses to avoid speaking, why not take the opportunity to learn, improve, and polish our language, our speaking skills, and our convincing skills? That is the purpose of World Speech Day, which encouraging everybody to speak. The speakers are just ordinary people like you and me. That's why World Speech Day has a tagline: unexpected voices. Tonight, you will hear all the unexpected voices. The theme for this year's World Speech Day in Malaysia is hope. Why hope? Hope is the one giving us the energy, the drive to move forward. We know there will be something better waiting for us as long as we do not give up. This is especially true during this period of time. Everybody is facing difficulty. Everybody is facing uncertainty. It is through hope that we can move forward. We can overcome our difficulties and make everything better and get back to normal again. So never give up hope. And for World Speech Day and for myself, it is my hope that World Speech Day Malaysia will continue to grow, to get the support, to have more people having the courage to come up and speak, be heard, and be counted. So thank you for supporting us. I will not take too much of your time. I will leave it to all the speakers tonight. And let's welcome our first speaker. Let me introduce the first speaker first. Give me a while. Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker tonight is a student from Rafflesia Private School in Kajang. He is currently studying in Form 5 and will be sitting for his SPM examination. He is Muhammad Ashraf Ridzuan Saifullizan. The speech title is Education During a Pandemic, an Issue of Equality. Education during a pandemic, an issue of equality. Please welcome Muhammad Ashraf Ridzuan Saifullizan.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone here is doing well during the pandemic. And remember, we will beat this virus and the sun shall shine upon us once again. Last year, we witnessed the education system evolve into a new state, which is online learning method. Now, I must say, at first, it was a decent way to counter the risk of infection of COVID-19. But then, as time goes by, many of my fellow friends and classmates were stressing out and falling apart with the new norms of our education system. It was terribly ferocious, repeating the same routine every single day in a small bedroom. Indeed, as I think the pandemic has made her impact on my life, and also the life of a student. But let us think again. While we were enjoying our classes in a comfortable bedroom, how about the marginalized society here in Malaysia? A substantial proportion of the Malaysian population are low-income groups. They are still struggling to achieve socio-economic and health equalities. Data that was generated in the 11th Malaysia Plan from 2016 to 2020, there are over staggering 2.7 million households of below 40, which mean a monthly income of RM 2,537. By this, we can acknowledge that not everyone will have the proper equipment for their online classes. I see the children are struggling to gain access to online learning of education. I heard that they must hide for hours just to get a good signal for their internet connection. They must even climb trees and even go to their neighbors for internet connection. I think it is rather odd for me to say that COVID-19 is the toughest thing in my life, while some of the students in my country is suffering without a proper access to education. Also, the toughest part in this situation is there is nothing I can do to help them, because in my country, they always say, you are only a kid. In the new era of 21st century, I think there shall be no excuses for this society letting the future generation being left out without any aid or help. It saddened me to see in this pandemic that equality that we were promised for was just a fairy tale of a 9-year-old. Unlucky for us, I say, because we felt for the promises of equality in education. Example, couple of months ago, a young Sabahan girl had to climb up a higher ground, build a hut on a tree just to get good internet signal to continuing her study. Where is the equality in our system? In this era, every single student living in Malaysia have their rights for equality of education. But I guess here I am pleading for your help for equality to be shown in Malaysia. But I think, fear not, as hope always shall appear at the end of the rainbow. I firmly believe that COVID-19 has shown us the good and the bad side of the world. But let us look at the good side, as now Malaysians are combating the virus, standing together, helping each other, giving hand to hand, giving aid to the people, thus prove to me that hope and unity in this country still lies somewhere deep down. This shine of hope, I think, has her own potential to reshape this nation towards a better place. But I think to turn this into reality, we must always power hope with education, because without education, the hope will always remain a hope. We must not let the education of the future generation die because of the pandemic. I think to the people of Malaysia, I say, let us unite together as one, put our differences aside, put education first, and never abandon the principle of unity that we were taught in the earlier day of our school life. Don't let, I think, the future leaders of this nation grow without a proper education system. I think the power is in our hand. We, as Malaysia, have the key to hope and unity in this country. Please do not steal my hopes and dreams to change the world to a better place in the near future. Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon a human can offer. I think together with hope and unity, mankind will achieve so much in 10 years compared to the past 300 years. If we landed on the moon in 1969, if we built the Petronas Twin Tower in 1998, I think with unity, we shall achieve far more in a blink of an eye. I also believe that with the formula of education, hope, and unity, and also, let us not forget, equality in this country, will lead us towards a better nation, not just a better nation, but a great nation in this world. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge for equality to be implied in the education system, because in this small world and in this small country, what are you and where are you from? Either you are in the peninsula of Malaysia or in Sabah, Sarawak, whether you are young, old, or even middle-aged, there is no differences between us, because we Malaysians, we are always one together. We achieve so many great things together, and with unity, we shall achieve many more to come. That is all for me today, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Ashraf. If this question were to come out during the SPM, I'm sure you will be answering it well. And I'm sure other students who are listening to you will be doing well as well. So thank you once again, Ashraf. So those of you who are watching it live from Facebook, please click like to give him the encouragement. So let's move on to the second speaker. Our second speaker, she said she is a retired Grab driver, but she did not review what did she do before that. She's a full-time housewife and a new grandmother. She's very generous, not hesitating to review her age, grandmother. So how young can a grandmother be? I do not know. Maybe you will know better. All right. She said she's learning to cook and bake at all time, quite adventurous on learning new recipes in the kitchen. And she's now babysitting a new babysitting. She used that word or that term, fermented food with one kombucha tea to a good, successful one. So our next speaker is Winnie Weng Lee Ping. Her speech title is Hope for Survivor. Hope for Survivor, Winnie Weng Lee Ping. Over to you, Winnie.
Good evening. Can you hear?
Yes, go ahead. It seems that we have a little technical problem. The thing is, when we are dealing with technology and science, we can always have the excuse of technical problem. We just wait for a while, give Winnie some time. Is there a power breakdown somewhere in Perak? She is in Perak.
Okay.
All right, you are back.
Okay.
We can't see you. We need to see. Please turn on your video. Or something is blocking your camera, is it?
No.
No? Okay, you're on. So over to you, Vinny.
Hope for Survivor. It was a Saturday. It was a Saturday, 25th April 2015. I was in a new housing estate cleaning my new house. Somewhere in the afternoon, I felt uneasy. I told my husband that I would go home early while he continued the job. Once back home, I checked on my Facebook news. I got a shock reading a top breaking news, Nepal earthquake. I was panicked and not knowing what to do at that instant. Regaining my senses later, I quickly called up my husband, but then there was no connectivity in a new housing area. My two sons and my daughter-in-law were not in the city as well. The whole world seemed collapsed onto me. Slowly, I regained my motherly strength. I checked on an email about the schedule that my daughter sent out prior to her departure to Nepal. I checked into her Facebook account also. It was a blessing in disguise that she did not bring her iPad along, and there was no password needed to log in. I believe God will not punish me as safety overrides privacy. I was palpitating with cold sweat, and while imagination racing across my mind, where could she be at this critical moment? I remember clearly, just 2 weeks ago, she hugged me lovingly, saying, "Bye, Mom, love you." With a ray of hope, I started to look for hints through her Facebook account. It was like searching a needle through a stack, it was like searching a needle in a haystack. To my disappointment, nothing was revealed except for a group photo that was posted by a friend in the Facebook. With a dim hope, I checked her itinerary again and again, praying and hoping that she was behind schedule. I started to post whatever I could think of about my daughter to alert myself from being sad and in fear. Thanks to the social media, immediately I got so many responses from her friends, helping me to locate where she was at that moment. They sent links to me and encouraging words to me as well. It was a desperate and longest night that I went through with a simple hope that my girl is safe. She is safe somewhere. Sunday, 26 April 2015, I woke up seeing a sunrise spelled with abundant hope and a surge of vibrant energy. That symbolic, my girl is safe somewhere in Nepal. I was kept busy communicating with her friends through Facebook. I was hanging on to a most simple hope. She is safe at all times. She would fight her way through the challenging situations. She is a tough girl. True enough, by 7 p.m. that evening, her friend managed to locate her group via his connection worldwide. We got to listen to her. At last, a trembling voice came through. That was the best gift that my girl ever gave us. They were all safe sheltering in a village in Nepal, where the earthquake was. I was in tears, totally couldn't utter a word at all. I could only cry. We wish her a happy birthday. Stay safe and come home soon. She and her friends were airlifted and finally back home to Malaysia after the Labor Day 2015. Oh yes, this is one incident that will always be deep in my memory. Hope leads you to positive energy around. With hope you wish for the best. With hope, you know you are not alone. Ladies and gentlemen, never give up your hope. 希望在明天. Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie. That was a wonderful story and sharing. I hope your daughter is also listening and watching you from Facebook right now. And she'll come over and give you a big hug, saying congratulations to you that you'll make it on World Speech Day. Winnie actually told me that she has asked for help from her husband, who is a Toastmaster, but the husband told her to do it on herself. So she's doing it on her own and she made it. Congratulations, Winnie. So ladies and gentlemen, let's go to our next speaker. Our next speaker is the only speaker tonight who will speak in Mandarin. So before I speak in Mandarin, Let me introduce her in English first. She is Lillian Ping. She said age is not a problem for her. And after half a century, she realized that she loves to speak and she loved the stage. And tonight, she is on World Speech Day stage. 各位观众，我们接下来的演讲者，她说她是一位自认年龄不是问题的女人，活到半百才发觉原来自己是热爱演讲，热爱舞台。当然，今天晚上她站在这个世界演讲者的舞台，她就是李丽萍。李丽萍今晚的题目是一丝曙光，一丝曙光。李丽萍，舞台交给你。
无国界儿童的问题是沙巴一直以来都存在的问题。何谓无国界儿童？就是没有身份证，也没有护照，他们像是这个社会的隐形人，被社会忽视和忽略。他们非但需在别人的异样眼光中求存，也无法享有我们视为理所当然的正常生活和接受教育的权利。这些无国界儿童在教育上得到极少的关注。在别的小孩正在学校内接受正规教育时，他们必须在街上自力更生，四处流浪，目的很简单，就是为了生存。在沙巴斗湖有一所学校，宗旨是接触这些无国界儿童，为他们提供教育，给他们得着生命的机会。这所学校叫做恩典训练中心，在2010年3月1日成立，从最初的30多位学生到现在的250多位左右。恩典训练中心也获得了马来西亚教育部首次颁发这类型教育的准证。恩典学校只是向学生征收一个象征式的学费，还提供免费课本。在恩典学校，老师的教导方式是以爱和鼓励为出发点，不以责备和言语上攻击学生。除了教导这些儿童们读、写、道德和纪律等知识之外，还教导他们基本生活技巧和手艺，好让他们未来顺利融入社会。除此之外，校方也精心策划举办各种活动，如运动会、教师节、儿童节、防范毒品讲座会等，让这些儿童们积极参与，并透过这些大大小小的活动学习与人相处。恩典训练中心传递的不只是知识，而是为他们生命引路，成为成功的人，懂得自我的价值。最重要的是，恩典中心让这些天真无邪的儿童们感到他们是被接纳的，也让他们对自己所生活的土地有一种归属感和未来的盼望。当然，恩典学校内的学生实际上只是冰山一角，社会中依然存在很多的无国界儿童无法享有接受教育的权利。长期以来，教育对无国界儿童的家庭来说是遥不可及的，而恩典训练中心的设立， 也为他们带来一丝曙光。谢谢。
谢谢丽萍，我还真的不知道，原来你可以跟这些无国界的孩子们打交道。谢谢你带来给我们的分享。Thank you, Li Ping. She was talking about children without nation. That means you say they do not belong to any country. There are a lot of them in Sabah especially, and there was actually a place which give them education, taught them how to survive, and of course giving them hope. That was roughly what was about in Li Ping's speech. It so happens that the second speaker and the third speaker are both called Li Ping. One is Weng Lee Ping. Then the speaker just now was Lee Ping. Li Ping seems to be a very popular name. So next time you might consider for your daughter. I'm just kidding. Let's move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker she would like to introduce herself as a daughter, a friend, a confidant, a dreamer, and a learner. She is Asiah Said. Her speech title is Of Hope and Feathers. Of Hope and Feathers. The stage is yours, Asiah Said.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Hello, everyone. Emily Dickinson, America's greatest poet of all time at once, wrote a poem entitled "Hope is the Thing with Feathers," circa 1861, about 160 years ago. It's quite sometimes way back. She wrote about hope that is symbolized in feathers, strong because it can lift the bird up in the sky, fluffy and lingered in our soul. It's always there, only sometimes we tend to not see it. We fail to acknowledge it. For a person like me, I overlooked it, the power of hope, because I was scared of having too much hope that it would crush me down. I was scared without even realizing that is hope as well. September 25th, 2018, I received a phone call. On the other end, the voice said, "Mom collapsed." That's my brother's voice. "Mom collapsed." And I'm like, sad, not sad, just monotonously flat. It left me hanging. I was not able to decipher what was the meaning of that phrase. My heart just stopped. I couldn't hear a thing around me. I was 8 hours away from her. 8 hours away from her. I couldn't even cry. Should I run? But where to? Oh, okay, go to a car. But to do what? I was numbed. I didn't know whose number to dial except one particular friend of mine. I called him. Upon listening to his voice, my tears just rolled down my cheeks rapidly, and I cried, "I don't know what to do," repeatedly. I was hoping for him to tell me what to do, because I honestly don't know what to do. And he did. Thankfully, he did. I reached Kelantan at 10 at night. I dashed into the ward, ran to my mom's bed. There she was, motionless, wired, all over her body, somewhat sedated. I called her name, greeted her, and she opened her eyes a little bit. I can see tears, soft pearl of tears coming down to the corner of her eyes. I had to smile as if nothing happened. Inside, I was asking for time, hoping for time for her and me. Her left brain is dead, right body paralysis. She is unable to speak, to write, understand a speech or a written form because of the damage in the left head. She is aphasic for life. Still, I hope. On a different note, I was working in a northern state after completing my demanding tasks and fulfilling my duties as a teacher and language instructor in one of the varsity up north. From my students' perspective, they hope to learn not just language, but to improve themselves, to learn interpersonal skills, to become a better speaker, to become a better graduate when they finish their college years. They bloom from being passive speakers into a dancing class where everyone speaks up their mind with conviction. In short, in my class, they can do whatever they want, and I really enjoyed it. I was their hope, and I hope I have successfully delivered my task upon what was given to me. One fine day, I received a text message from a parent saying that you believed in her talent, she was referring to her daughter, and allowed her to explore herself. I wish there would be many lecturers like you. I was in cloud 9 reading that message. The table has turned. I became someone's hope. Initially, I thought no one cares. It's indeed an exhilarating journey of my life. Those were bits and pieces of gigantic puzzle that I have that I'm trying to glue to make it my own canvas. Of hoops and feathers, yes, I'm still that bird perching for strength in this challenging time, hoping that I can have a great, beautiful life as well as sharing it with others. I realize now that hope is a fundamental part of being human. It's always present in our life, only we tend to overlook it. I decided to leave Northern State and return to my hometown in Kelantan. My life orchestrated a new purpose that I should not take for granted. I could not live happily knowing that someone else is hoping for me, or at least that's how I perceive it, because she couldn't utter a word to me. That monthly commuting between 2 states did not do any justice to my heart and my conscience. I left and I did not look back. I need to re-engineer my dream, my passion, and my so-called life. In this tremendous journey, I take with me the hope that, firstly, hope gives me better purposes in life. I get to spend more time with my parents, albeit the challenging palliative care. I learn to become more engaged listener and instructor to someone else's children during this pandemic time. I hope to become more attentive person to another person, to a friend, or probably to my community. Secondly, hope inspires me to give back to the society. I revisit my nature project from the past, assimilating it with my new lesson plans for the upcoming use of my future students, hopefully in the future. I hope it will be meaningful for them and impactful. And lastly, hope sent me an array of wonderful souls filled with glitters and gold hearts. They colored my new life in Kelantan. They introduced me to more new friends and social works. They check on me every few minutes, every few hours before I appear in this event. That's very thoughtful of them, which added more butterflies in my stomach at the moment. But thank you guys. You guys are really motivating. All in all, it has been an honor to share this, because had it not because of hope, I won't be finding my courage to share my thoughts and pause a moment in a trying life. When Martin Luther King stated that only in darkness you can see stars. I'd say you go out there and draw your own stars. You look back only to learn from the lessons. It does not define who you are, but surely it will enrich you. Keep your head high. Believe in your conscience. Hope is always in there with you. One doesn't lose hope. One may just overlook it, just like I did. And now I'm coloring my own rainbow and drawing my own stars. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a safe night. God bless. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Asiah. You really put tears into my eyes. It takes a lot of courage to dig into something very personal and it hurts you and to share it out in the public. I thank you for your story. Thank you for your sharing. I wish your mom well. So ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next speaker. So our next speaker is a technical underwater cave explorer who has explored northwest Malaysia, Ipoh, Kuantan, Sulawesi in Indonesia, and many other locations. Currently, he is working on cave exploration project in Sungai Lembing, Kinta Valley, and also Wang Kelian. If you know where Wang Kelian is, there was some news there for some time. So our next speaker is Kian Lie. Speech title, Hope for Survivor. Hope for Survivor, Kian Lie. Over to you.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you for the invitation to allow me to give a short speech here. So today I would like to share about my experience that I learned during my cave exploration, especially the underwater. So as many people asking me, underwater cave exploration actually is dangerous because we are diving under the overhead environment and so on. So of course, there is a risk to dive underwater cave. Doesn't matter it's a well-explored cave or whether there is a new cave. So both come with the risk and rewards. So as you know, before we can certify as a cave diver, there is a several training you need to go through. Example, the buoyancy control, finning techniques, ability to navigate in the total darkness when you are doing the underwater. So, and the gas management skill. So during my training, so my instructor is called Dave. So we've been going through all this training. I mean, I passed all this training, and then, yeah, of course, beside the training, also my instructor also sharing the experience, his experience and other diver experience. So one of the sharing experience is about how the cave diver die inside the cave. Example, the gas management issue, or they lost the line during the cave dive. So some of the cave diver, when they lost inside the cave, they cannot find a way out. So they will write their last word on the slate. The slate is a kind of the slate for us to bring under the cave to do a communication. So they will write down their last word at the slate. So it's sorry to their family and so on. But actually, the exit is just not far from them, maybe 100 meters away. I'm not sure whether they are giving up the hope to find the exit or the gas supply is already depleted. So today I would like to share what happened to me as well. Even though I'm a cave diver, I also do a mistake in my life. So I've been, during my early cave explorations, so I'm still young. I mean, still junior in the cave cave exploration. So we have started our cave exploration somewhere in Malaysia. So the day is sunny, the water is clear, everything is look okay. So I decided to descend to check one of the location that potential to have a cave under there. Because I just plan to do a quick survey, so I didn't lay the line at the surface. So actually I did a very stupid mistake. But I still never realized I made a mistake until I go inside the water. Water is good, but the sediment is quite thick, so the water visibility is not so good. But I still push my way in. I start to see the cave, the form of the cave, and I saw the stalactite and stalagmite, quite a nice one. So I decided to make my turn to go back to the surface to do a proper dive to lay the line. But when I return back, when I turn my head back, I cannot see the light anymore because due to the sediment, maybe I already part inside of a cave, so I lost without the line. So during that time, I can tell you it's not fun, even though you just feel maybe 1 or 2 minutes inside there without any guideline to lead you back to the surface. So the fear coming in, so what my instructor told me start to flow into my mind. So at the time I need to calm down. So I need to think a plan how to exit from this cave. So to follow a proper way, I make myself a center. So I start to navigate by direction. So luckily, I would say lucky. So I managed to find my way out. Way out my gas depleted. So I start to go back to the surface, and I'm thanks I'm survived today. So from now on, I will not compromise any more safety. Anything related to safety, I come very concerned. Especially some people will come when I bring equipment, I bring a line, I bring a rope during my trip, people will laugh at me. So why you bring so many things? I told them, always be prepared. So you will never know what happened to you later. So the lesson learned here is, whatever situation you are facing, especially like a cave explorer like us, we may face a lot of kind of the situations. So, but never give up the hope to survive if anything happens. Yeah. Thank you for giving me the stage to speak tonight. Thank you, Jikuli. Yeah.
Thank you, Kian Lie. You might be surprised they call me Cikgu Lee. He was my student before. Now he's more expert than me. Now I cannot do cave cave diving. You see, I can't even pronounce it properly. Thank you, Kian Lie, for sharing. I think there are good lessons from your sharing just now. We must never compromise with safety, no matter how easy or how simple the situation might be. That was a good advice. Thank you once again. We'll move on to the next speaker. Our next speaker, she said age is not a secret. So she tells us she is 48 years old and currently a school administrator in Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Bandar Baru, Sultan Sulaiman in Pelabuhan Kelang or Port Kelang. She has a bachelor's degree in English language teaching and master's in education psychology. She is Roslinda binti Ahmad. The speech title is Unconditional Well-Being for All. Unconditional Well-Being for All, Roslinda binti Ahmad. The stage is yours.
Hello, can everyone hear me? All right, hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to the World Speech Day. I'm not sure where I'm looking at. Anyway, I'm just looking everywhere. So welcome to the World Speech Day. The World Speech Day is an event that is held on every 15th of March each year. And today, this is my first participation. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this big opportunity to share my thoughts and feelings. I am given the topic of hope. So I have arranged some ideas about it in my speech, which you are about to listen to in a few seconds. Do you know Christopher Reeves? Yeah, he's the actor who played Superman in the Superman movie back in the early 80s. For some of you who don't know him, he suffered from paralysis after he had an accident while horse riding. But I remember him as a strong man who struggled through his paralyzed condition. And one of his quotes that I strongly remember from one of his interviews that I watched is that he said, "Once you choose hope, anything is possible." He survived many years after that interview and has been an inspiration to thousands of people who knew him. So in relation to that, let's all look at what has happened to us during this pandemic age. For the past 1 year, we have witnessed so many colors in people. The people whom we call friends, neighbors, fathers, mothers, leaders, they all play a role that is expected. But until today, for the past 12 months, this role has dramatically changed. It's changed under forced circumstances, harsh blows of unfortunate events. New strange colors have started to appear in these people's roles and the way they handle and react to things that have been happening. These new colors that they show only to me mean only one thing, that is hope. They appear because of hope. Now let's take a father's role, for example. A father, a family leader, the sole breadwinner. As we know, since the virus broke out, thousands and even millions have lost their jobs. Some lost their homes, their cars. Today, a father plays a different role. He hopes to put food on the table by taking a totally different method. A mother hopes to be a sufficient provider to her children while homeschooling them. A teacher hopes, with limited gadgets and facilities, that her online classes would be sufficient enough or effective enough. A leader hopes to make better decisions and to give fair unconditionally without leaving anyone behind. It is quite appalling to realize that all these new norms, new surprising turns of events, and new routines is quite nothing that we have ever prepared for. But somehow, everywhere in the world, people are holding on to hope with their bare hands. But do not worry, humans are built for changes. We were built with a mind and a will for survival since Adam and Eve. In fact, all of God's creations are tailored to survive. And to survive is what we do today. To survive is what we intend every morning when we wake up, all the while holding hope in one hand and will in the other. What more, with the newly found vaccine for the COVID-19 virus, this hope is the one thing we got to decide which role, color, we should portray tomorrow. So I'm calling out to everyone here and out there, no matter if you are a father or a mother, a teacher, a leader or a follower, choose the color of the role you play, be it big or small, local or international, so it could benefit yourself, your family, and the people around you. Because once you choose hope, anything is possible. Don't lose hope, even if you do not see it. So with that, I shall end my speech, and I hope to see you in times to come. Thank you again.
Thank you, Roslinda. I see hope in you, not only from your speech, but also the color that you put on. Thank you for that sharing and giving us all hope. Our next speaker. Our next speaker says she is a multitasking wife and a mother of 4 who runs a bakery. She loves second chance in the name of improvement, lesson learned well. She could be the boss, attending meetings and working in the office, or she could be washing dishes in the bakery. She is fond of cats and has 14 of them. She is Nurzaidah Muhammad Noor. Her speech title is Envisioning Hope. Envisioning Hope. Nurzaidah Muhammad Noor. Over to you, Nurzaidah.
Thank you very much. Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for inviting me. Am I live? Am I on?
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for inviting me. I feel honored to be here with eminent speakers and guests from around the country. I would like to begin my first hope, which is I hope everybody is in the pink of health. Stay safe amidst of COVID-19. You need to wash your hands frequently. I would like to thank myself too for having the courage to say yes to the invitation and to try something new this year, which is public speaking. This evening, I will tell you something about envisioning hope and how we embrace any possibilities in a positive way, how we manage if we don't get what we're hoping for. You see, envisioning hope can help us set our goals, and it can be our path to be on the right track. Because you see, when you don't have plans, you are planning to fail. I know it's cliche, but for real, yes, it could happen. We can visualize our hope. For example, I hope one day I can overcome my fear and do bungee jumping. I hope one day I can triple my sales. I hope one day I can learn how to bake a cake like a chef on TV. And this one, I know it's been forever. I hope I can lose weight and keep it off forever. And the list go on and on. Well, you see, if we achieve our hope, good for you, good for us. We give ourselves a pat on the back and we live happily ever after. But what if it is not what we hope for? Disappointed, yes. But how far can we go feed our disappointments? To go with the long face. You want to cry a river, go ahead. You want to be mad? What good does it do to you? You know, you got to ask yourself if it's worth it. Because, you know, all of this negativity, it drains you. For example, a little sharing to what happened to me today. Every day I led quite a busy lifestyle with my work, employees, kids, school. Basically, I'm the chauffeur too. But you see, suddenly everything just doesn't go the way it's supposed to be, like what I'm hoping for. Everything come crumbling down, you know. I was mad, yes. Tried to do something not very nice to my employees, but you see, how far can I feed off my anger, feed off my disappointment? Yes. So I take a deep breath. I isolate myself a little bit. Oh, it does help. So you see, we always hope for the best. I believe we all work hard trying to achieve it. If it didn't work out, hey, you tried your best, yes? Appreciate your effort. So how do we deal with hopes and dreams that failed? I learned this from a mentor. How do we turn negative energy and turn it to be something positive? We embrace it. First, clear your mind. We embrace it. Yes, I failed. Everything didn't turn out well. It's not what I'm hoping for. So, you know, with that, you accept the diversity of outcomes hope can offer, because failure doesn't make you a loser, you know? It is lesson learned, and you can always try again. There is nothing wrong in failing. It just means you have to redo it in another way that works. You know, because there's always probability. There's always, for example, even in mathematics, there's always multiple, triple, double ways to get your answer. You know, there's no attempt, no such thing as wrong attempt. It's trials. Yes, you try, but when you try, you put your very best effort on it. Then you don't have those kind of things like, I should have done this, I should have done that. Yes. Okay. So people perception about failure bothers you. You see, what matters most is how you perceive your effort. Nobody can judge you. This is the millennium. You can be what you want to be, just don't get yourself in trouble. You know, when I first got the invite, I envisioned myself in two ways. It's either I'm gonna pull this through, and the second probability is maybe Mr. Chairman wouldn't call me again next year. So, but hey, I'm trying my best, right? And I'm feeling very happy to be here. Furthermore, I haven't seen some of the speakers for a very long time. I feel very excited, and yeah, I'm a bit hyper myself anyway. So lesson learned, in conclusion, lesson learned well can be your ticket for a huge success in whatever venture you are in. So dream big, aim high, put your 200% on it, hope for the best. I'm hoping for the best for everybody. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Nurzaidah. Wow, what a wonderful speech. You did well. And if you do not get a slot on TV to do your baking, let me invite you to do it live on Facebook. Thank you once again, Nurzaidah. Let's move on to our next speaker. So Nurzaidah, you may turn off your video. Thank you. Our next speaker, she says she is Mrs. Tan. Her maiden name is Siew Buey. Everyone calls her Cikgu Ang. She's also a teacher in her hometown, which is Terengganu. She is retiring next year. She was diagnosed with colon cancer stage 3, 15 years ago. That was 2006. And tonight, she is sharing her story. She is Siew Buey. Her speech title is I Believe. I Believe, Siew Buey. The stage is yours. We'll wait for her to come appear on video. Okay, she's here. Are you ready, Siew Buey?
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Okay, okay, over to you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, can
Hi.
hear you. Go on.
Can I start now?
Yes,
Hi.
go on.
I'm Cikgu Ang, a cancer survivor. I'm going to talk about my hope and what I believe in. It has been 15 years since I was diagnosed with colon cancer stage 3. The past 15 years was not easy. Some might say that I was lucky. However, I believe it is hope, determinations, and perseverance that keep me alive today. It is the hope I saw in my loved ones' eyes that tell me a million times not to give up, no matter how painful and difficult treatment can be. In their eyes, I saw their hope for me to get well and to grow old with them. Frankly speaking, I gave up hope at the moment doctor told me the bad news because I was rather ignorant at that time. Lucky for me, my husband is very positive and very supportive. His love forces me to believe that cancer can be cured. And for the sake of my loved ones, it must be cured. With that belief, I embark on a long and difficult journey. I believe in my surgeon and oncologists when they said they had cured many cancer patients. I believe they were my only hope to stay alive at that time. After the operation, I had to undergo 12 cycles of chemotherapy once every fortnight. As my two children had to sit for a very important public exam that year, I traveled alone by bus to and fro for my chemo treatment to a city about 10 hours drive away. My husband stayed home for our children. I told him I could manage on my own, don't worry. I was really determined to live for my loved ones. It was really tough, especially when I was alone doing chemotherapy in a foreign country, not to mention the exorbitant bills. Immediately after each chemo, I have to cross to immigration office all by myself. I could remember clearly the pain that I have to endure after each chemo session. I really, really hate the long and lonely journey, but I don't have a choice because I could not afford the flight. Therefore, I have to persevere. It took me 6 months before my oncologist congratulated me for completing my chemotherapy. I told him, I hope to live to be a grandmother. And he said, of course you would. These kind and comforting words give me hope. And now, I'm a proud grandmother of 2 adorable grandchildren, Nicholas and Emily. Love them. I eat healthily, a lot of vegetables and fruits like apple, kiwis, berries, and I stopped taking oily and fried food. Sugar definitely is a no-no. I drink juice from celery, bitter gourd, green apple, capsicum, beetroot, apple. It is very, very bitter, but healthy. I once read an article in New Straits Times saying morning air can do miracles. So for the past 15 years till now, I wake up around 5 in the morning to prepare my breakfast. Then I go for my morning walk in the park before I go to school. I join many of my friends who are also cancer patients. We practice 过灵气功, a kind of exercise mainly consisting of walking and proper breathing technique to increase our intake of oxygen. My 老师 or 师父 once said, oxygen can enhance self-healing and increase our immunity against cancer. I believe my 老师. Since then, I have been practicing Qigong every morning, be it rain or shine. I even practice Qigong when I go for my holiday to places like London, Rome, Melbourne, and Taipei. Thanks to Madam Lim, my former principal, I took part in a 10-kilometer run in 2016 and got myself the first medal in my life. I was so very proud. And since then, I have participated in many 10-kilometer runs. Running the Penang Marathon has been my dream since college days because I fell in love with my husband watching him run the Penang Marathon 38 years ago, and I still love him. I'm now training for my first 21-kilometer Penang run. I jog twice a week in the evening. I believe, and I'm determined to complete the run. To the other patients, please trust your doctor and be a good patient. More importantly, you must also believe in yourself. If you stay positive, with a strong determination, I believe you too can live a very healthy life with your loved ones. Thank you to all my 老师, especially Mr. Alex Wong, my relatives, friends, students, Ming Jie, Feng Jie, Pin Jie, and my family for making me believe in ourselves. That's all from me tonight, and thank you. Stay safe. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Siew Buey. Thank you for sharing. It wasn't easy, but you make it. And your speech certainly gave us a lot of hope. Please send my regards to your family and also your 2 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker. She's Teh Pei Ling, Dr. Teh Pei Ling. She has more than 18 years of teaching experience in English language. She has a master and PhD in education management, and that enabled her to widen her horizon in helping teachers to manage teaching more effectively, and also in motivating the students in their studies. Pei Ling's speech title is To Hope or Not to Hope. To hope or not to hope. Dr. Teh Pei Ling.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for the wonderful introduction. Good evening. I'm Dr. Teh Pei Ling. I'm from Puchong, Selangor. My topic for this evening is to hope or not to hope. Hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for a particular thing to happen. When there is a hope, you look up. And when there's no hope, you look down like this and you feel sad. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, when there is hope, it is the hope that brings you forward. It is the driving force. Never give up. I remember when I play my game, I do play games on my mobile. When there was only one step left, but 2 or 3 cubes to clear, I wanted to give up. However, it was always that one step that solved the match, the game. It was really awesome. So the key point is keep trying and don't give up until the last step. I'm a teacher in school, and I always have high hopes and high expectations for my pupils. I encourage them to set their goals, their destinations. What do they want in life? Because some students, they don't know what they want. They thought that they just come to school, they study, they play, and they go home, they eat and sleep, that's it. But it's more to that. What do you want? I always ask them, what do you want in your life? What do you want in your future? Is it a good job, a nice house, a happy family, or just a roof over your head? So throughout my teaching career, I always carry out this one activity in the beginning of the year. I will instill hope into them. I told them, okay, I'll give them a piece of paper, all right, to write down their New Year resolutions. Think and list down 5. Don't need to have many, just 5 will do. Okay, don't be too greedy. 5 New Year resolutions. All right, think. You can have simple sentence like, I hope to lose 5 kilograms. Okay, I wish to travel to Korea. Okay, so simple sentences, it can be compound sentence, don't worry. So after they have written, I'll put them into a time capsule. So sometimes it's a container, sometimes it's a cute container, or sometimes I'll just use something very simple, an envelope, put it in, label with a class name, okay? Then I will wait until the end of the year, just before the school holiday. Why? Okay, I will take out the envelope, open it, they will then take it out, I'll give it to them, and they have to evaluate. They have looked at the resolutions, okay, now, how many have you achieved? If you have achieved your resolutions, congratulations. If you have not achieved it, don't worry. You have another year. Write another set of new resolutions in the following year. I do this activity with my pupils every year. The lessons that my pupils have learned from this activity is to plan, they do it, they check, and they act on it. And these 4-step management is the Deming cycle. You plan, you do, you check, and you act. So in short, it's PDCA, right? So by doing this activity, I've received positive feedback from my pupils saying, teacher, I finally scored an A in English. Or teacher, I lost 5 kilograms. I made it. And teacher, and so on and so forth. I was so happy listening to their testimony. It was really something that they can achieve. That's what I say, like just now the previous speaker said, the cliche, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Same goes to, if you fail to hope, your hope is to fail. But hope never fails you. Hang on to hope. It is hope that if you have hope for something, then it is the positive vibes that keeps you going, like what I've said earlier. So as the saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Eventually, you will get there. Same goes to the teachers in my education district. I am also a master trainer for KSSM CFR aligned curriculum in English language. I love to share with the teachers in my district about implementing change and keep hoping that the change will transform the current situation in the education arena. Some may say, nah, no, it won't happen. It's just a plan on a piece of paper. Well, if you are a teacher and you don't execute the plan, the change, then who will do that? We, the teachers, we are considered the frontliners in education. We carry out, we execute the change, the plan, we carry out the plan. So our younger generation depends on teachers to impart their knowledge and to guide them through their primary, secondary, and tertiary levels. Look at the world now, it's everywhere. During this COVID-19 pandemic, schools are closed, but learning goes on. We have online teaching and learning, we have hybrid teaching and learning as well, and offline learning too. So you just have to choose which is more comfortable with. So ladies and gentlemen, hope is everywhere. Grab it and keep hoping. With that, ladies and gentlemen, again, I hope you have enjoyed my thoughts on hope. To hope or not to hope? The answer is clear. Keep hoping, everyone. As I listen to a few stories, it's so touching, inspiring. And don't forget, when you hope, don't forget to say a little prayer. And force your hope with a prayer. Prayer is very powerful. Once again, I would like to express my gratitude to Mr. Lee Chayu for organizing this meaningful event. Let's continue hoping for better days and years to come. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Pei Ling. Thank you for your sharing. I'm praying now. My regards to your parents. Thank you for sharing once again.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker. She's a global life transformation coach, a master trainer, and a serial entrepreneur, close to 20 years of experience, known best among her clients as Queen of Transformation. She helps people to connect to 5 P's: purpose, passion, power, potential, and possibilities. She currently resides in Putrajaya, Malaysia, with her beautiful family. She is Sabariah Jusoh, or fondly known as Sabah. Her speech title is Keep Going. Keep going, Sabah.
How many of you feel struggle or stuck in your life right now during this pandemic? Thank you. And how many of you experience fear and uncertainty in your life right now during this pandemic? Thank you. I know that I may not see your hands up, but I believe that many of you do, just like me. So good evening, all viewers and listeners to World Speech Day 2021. My intention today is to share with you a very powerful message that would support you to shift during this challenging time. And my message is keep going. Several years back, I was down with only 40 ringgit in my bank account. And I was also down with close to 1 million ringgit in business debt. And about the same time, I got involved with a car accident. And I had a very bad sleep days. For 21 days, I was just lying on bed. It's really, really excruciating pain. I hardly can sit up, even for 5 minutes. And while I went through treatments after treatments, I was on wheelchair bound for 6 months. And at the same time, I got to take care to feed 5 of my children, while my husband also went through his own breakdown. And during that time, that was my lowest point in my life. Creditors came to my house knocking the door. I felt helpless, depressed, miserable. I didn't know what to do. I felt like the whole world is collapsing on me. God is kind. He answered my prayer. I had a couple of mentors and good friends help me to find my way back, heal and bounce back. One of my life mentors, she said this to me that is still stuck with me till now. She said, Sabah, you already hit the lowest point of your life, the rock bottom. The only way through is up, and keep going. So taking her words of wisdom, when I woke up the next morning, what I did was I did 2 lists. So if you are listening and you too having a rough time, a challenging time right now, I invite you to do these 2 lists. The first list is write AWC, area within control. AWC, area within control. And that is my to-do list. Or if you're doing it too now, it's your to-do list. And the second list is ABC list. ABC list is area beyond control, or God's to-do list. So I started writing down things in my life that I can control or within my control. Things like to improve my business, to start back my business, to create a great team again. Things like to take care of my children, and on and on and on. And I start also writing down things that beyond my control. I leave it to God's hand, in God's hand. And eventually, I heal. I have my health back. And less than a year, I made it back 6 figures income in my bank account. So last year, when COVID hit, it's really reminded me of this powerful tool that I apply. It may seem simple, but for me, it's effective and impactful. Keep going, do these 2 lists. Area within control, AWC list, and area beyond control, ABC's list. And keep going. So in conclusion, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. What doesn't break you make you stronger. And one famous quote that I love from Robert Schuller: tough time never lasts, but tough people do. So my fellow friends, keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabah. I raised my hand twice, so now you can see. And keep going. Thank you for sharing. That was so wonderful. I think people pay to listen to you, but tonight you are sharing it for free. Thank you so much. Thank you for the sharing. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Richard Kerr. Richard Kerr is a TEDx innovation and keynote speaker who is highly immersed in the global startup and innovation ecosystem. He was previously attached to 2 government agencies, which are responsible to develop the technology sector in Malaysia. He lived and worked in Beijing for more than 10 years before relocating back to Malaysia. A speech title is simple: Much. Richard Kerr, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, and fellow speakers and fellow audience. No, I won't be talking about the 3rd month of the year, but rather the physical act of moving forward. And a simple Google search for the word March would return multiple results. But the most appropriate definition, according to tonight's theme, is the steady and preventable development of progress of something. Now, this is a story about someone we recognize, but most of you probably haven't heard of. He was an elderly man who was living in one of the states in America in the 1940s. It was the era of the Great Depression. It was similar to the pandemic, which everyone is experiencing right now. So he was retired, and barely surviving on his $99 Social Security check, similar to the retirement money that some retirees receive today. So one day, when he was 65, he decided that he needed to make something happen. He wasn't satisfied with his current living situation. And he was sitting on a chicken recipe that his friends and family love. And he wanted to bring his chicken recipe to the rest of the country. So he started out by driving from state to state, selling his recipe out of his car. So he would stop at every restaurant that he could try and sell them his chicken recipe. Unfortunately, no one was interested. So he even offered to give them his recipe for free if they would agree to share the profits. Now, who wouldn't agree to that? So even with his generous terms, no one seemed to be interested in this man's chicken recipe. In fact, he was rejected 1,009 times. And most people in this situation would have thrown in the towel after rejection number 20, but not him. So he persisted despite the overwhelming rejection he faced on a daily basis. And lucky for him, his persistence eventually paid off. He finally got his first client after his 1010th sales pitch. So, who was this outrageously determined chicken recipe entrepreneur? Well, you probably guessed it. It was none other than the Colonel himself, Colonel Hartland Sanders. Now, if that name isn't ringing any bells, Colonel Hartland Sanders went on to create Kentucky Fried Chicken, or KFC, which is now one of the largest restaurant franchises in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a clear example of how one marches forward continuously, even when he wasn't able to see the horizon. The moral of the story is, of course, about the power of hope and persistence. Colonel Sanders, his story shows us that success often comes from relentless perseverance. It comes from knocking on door after door until we get the inevitable yes. Success requires us to push past rejections and disappointments so that we can find the people who are looking for the solution that we offer. And not only did Colonel Sanders start his chicken recipe endeavor when he was already 65, but he drove around the country selling his chicken recipe out of his car. And on top of that, he was rejected over 1,000 times. Now, if that isn't a perfect illustration of the power of perseverance or hope, I don't know what is. And Colonel Sanders once said, I made a resolve then that I was going to amount to something if I could. And no hours, no amount of labor, no amount of money would deter me from giving the best that there was in me. And I have done that ever since. And I win by it. I know. So in our lives, ladies and gentlemen, never forget that everyone marches towards their own destinations. Some people are on a clear path, and some maybe not. But with hope, determination, and perseverance, everyone has the potential and opportunity to achieve their desired goals and outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. What a wonderful way of making a title out of the month of World Speech Day, March. We were all marching on with your motivation story. Thank you once again, Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, time flies. We are coming to the last but not least speaker of tonight. She is simply a trainer and an entrepreneur. She is Yasotha Arumugam. Her speech title is A World Without. A World Without Yasotha Arumugam. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine you're driving in a busy mall. There is no longer COVID, there's no more danger, and there is no parking. And you're driving slowly and hope to see that green light that you always hope to get when you're driving. Ah, there's one there. Okay, let's go there, let's go there. I hope no one gets that before I do. And when you're going there, when you reach there, the container is parked. And yes, you missed the parking place. I used to be a driver like that. I used to be a driver who's always hoping, I hope I get the parking space. Oh, I hope I get the parking place here. Usually, I don't. Once in a blue moon, I do. Then came a time in my life and I decided maybe I don't want to hope anymore. Maybe I want to think differently. And that inner diva in me came out. And I told myself one day while I'm driving, I am going to find a parking space. And on top of that, remember, I'm a diva, I don't want to walk. I told myself, I'm going to find a parking space near the door. Guess what? I did. And so this habit of telling myself that I am going to find a parking space kept happening again and again and again, to a point where I came to call myself the parking agent. See, I can't keep a straight face with that. So every time I'm driving and if a friend is next to me, I will actually tell my friend that, don't worry, we will find parking. I'm a parking angel. Usually they would laugh, but the moment I managed to find parking in the busiest street, the busiest parking lot right next to the door, and trust me, I'm not taking the differently able people's parking, okay? A legitimate parking space. They would usually go, wow, Yaso, you are a parking angel. So today, ladies and gentlemen, what is it that I want to talk to you about? I wanted to ask you, what is hope? 11 speakers before me spoke about hope. They're beautiful stories, all tied to this idea about what hope is and how hope made them do things so differently. Hope is something that is intangible. You can't explain it, you can't see it. But today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about something a bit different. You see, when I finished my degree many, many years ago, I think 16, 17 years ago, I hoped that I could start a center of my own. I wanted a center where I could teach children to speak, to teach children to speak confidently, to teach children to not have fear, and to empower them. I wanted to teach public speaking. And I was afraid. So I did the normal path everybody would. I went under employment colleges. I went back at one moment in time to move across the sea, and I wanted to go to Sabah. Came back, continued working. That in me, my own center, was buried. It was in my head. And when I talked to friends, I actually thought about it. I was still
actively talking about it to people, saying, I hope one day I can open this. I hope one day I'll do this. And I realized when I can do that to a parking space, why did I do that to my dream? Why did I just hope? So one day I stopped hoping. I was at a job that I was quite unhappy with. I was very stressed. In 2 years, I was admitted to the hospital 3 times. I told myself, that's it. It is time to stop. And I did, without any background in business, without any help, without any plan. I stopped. I took 2 months to think about what I should do and how I should plan it. And guess what? 2 months later, I have my center. And I'm standing here talking to you guys from my center. Ladies and gentlemen, hope is important, but I want you to think about something a little bit more than hope as well. I want you to have faith. I want you to have hope and faith and move forward with whatever you have. As a teacher and coach, trainer, sometimes I have got my clients as well as my students who come up with statements like, teacher, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'll pass the exam. Coach, I don't think I can, win this competition. To them, I cannot just hope. I do not tell them after all the preparation, they would come up to me and say, I hope I win today, or I hope I can get the band score I need for the exam. I tell them, no, you're not going to hope. I know you're going to get the band score. I know you're going to win that competition. Because as a teacher, I have to be that unexpected voice. I have to be the voice of faith for my students and to people around me whenever they tell me their dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you also have to be the unexpected voice. Martin Luther King Jr. said, only in darkness can you see the stars. So in anyone's darkest hours, deepest despair, when you are giving people hope, when you need hope, have faith as well. Have faith and go out and do what you want to do. Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The angel of parking. Now only I know there is such thing called the angel of parking. If I see you next time and I happen to drive, make sure you sit beside me. So we always get that parking. I have no luck, but I'm going to hope like what you have suggested. Thank you, Yasotha. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's invite everybody, all the speakers to come on screen to appear. Please turn on your video. There you see everybody in one go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking part in World Speech Day Malaysia 2021. And thank you for accepting my invitation to speak. I have no money to pay anybody. We have no budget. I have no budget. I only have the budget to pay for the Zoom account so that we will have this continuous World Speech Day going on. But that is okay. It's so wonderful listening to all of you. It was so inspiring. It was so touching. And I'm sure it benefits everybody who are tuning in and also listening or watching later on, because this Facebook Live will remain on Facebook and a copy of this will be made available on YouTube. Later on, you can just search for it. Make sure you use the hashtag World Speech Day and Unexpected Voices. So ladies and gentlemen, before we say goodbye to our live audience, let's take a group photo. So show your best to your camera. All right. I will take a screenshot and share with all of you later on. Let me check everybody. Winnie, would you like to show more of you? Okay, that is better, okay. Right, I think everybody is good. Let's look at your own camera. Don't look at me or look at whoever on your computer screen. Look at your own camera so you are smiling directly on your camera. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Right, let me check. The audience out there, please bear with us. Since we cannot take a group photo, this is the group photo in the new norm. Let me double check first, okay? Okay, I think it's good enough. Right.
Everybody looks good.
Yes, okay. Everybody turn on your audio. I will end the live session on Facebook. Before we say goodbye to our audience out there, thank you so much for your support, supporting the speakers, supporting your friends, supporting your family, and supporting the ideas of World Speech Day. And also, probably you are benefiting from all the speeches shared tonight. It was so wonderful. So, you know, secretly, it was my hope. I secretly had a hope before we started that everything tonight will go on smoothly, and the hope came true. Everything went on well. So yes, so this is World Speech Day Malaysia 2021. Right, I will end the session. To the speaker, please stay online.